Welcome to Fun with Failure. Now it's time for another edition of Fun with Ret'Hell. I found 5 stories from IDWHL that I hope you enjoy. So without further ado, let's get started. Yo, I just wanted to share something that happened a few years ago. I was at a local hardware store minding my own business when a guy came up with me wearing a rather cross expression. Before I could say anything, he asked,
"Where's your toggles? And don't say you don't work here because I know you do."
Keep in mind, the uniform was a red shirt with the company's name. I was in a different colored t-shirt and shorts. Now, I knew exactly where the toggles were, but given his rather curt accusation, I decided to mess with him. I asked if he meant the drywall kind. He rolled his eyes and said,
"Yes."
So I led him, in a very roundabout way, to the electrical section to a toggle switch. He was irate at this point. Then he said to me,
"I'm gonna go ask someone who's actually competent."
To which I replied,
"Make sure they actually work here this time, idiot."
The kicker? Drywall toggles were in the same aisle I was originally in. Years ago, I lived in a place with poor cell phone reception, so I got a landline. It turns out that that number I was given was the old number for the government agency where people could sign up for hunter safety courses. I would get their calls from time to time, so I looked up their new number and I would direct people to them when they called. It got to be such a frequent issue. I eventually updated my answering machine to say, "You have reached the home of so-and-so. If you're looking for the hunter safety course, please dial this number." Most people were grateful. They would get the correct number and hang up politely. But not all of them. One Friday night at 8 p.m., I was called by a little boy looking to sign up for the hunter safety course. I told him he had the wrong number. I gave him the right number and I hung up. About 5 minutes later, he called me back and told me no one was answering, and that it asked him just to leave a message. I told him that it was probably past their work hours, and that he should leave a message, and they would most likely call him back when the office opened. He started raising his voice and he said, "Why can't you just sign me up? You answered the phone, and no one answered at the other number. My mom said I needed to sign up for the class." I explained that it was like me calling his house and asking him to sign me up. Then I said this is my phone number and I don't work there, and that there was nothing I can do for him. The persistent detective that he was, he said, "Well, if you don't work for them, why did you give me the number?" I told him that people called me incorrectly all the time, so I thought I would be nice and look up the number for them. He said once more, "Well, my mom said I need to sign up for it." I realized I was getting nowhere. I told him to give his mother the number, and to please not call back. A minute later, the phone rang again. This time I let the machine answer it. After listening to my machine, that once again provided the right number, he still left a message stating, "I need to sign up for the course and my mom said that you should help me." A for persistence, F for comprehension. The worst part, this kid is probably walking around with a gun in the woods. I frequent Target a lot. Like, a lot. I work at a local hospital, and I needed to grab a few things after work. I was in a teal scrub top, black scrub pants, and I still had my hospital badge clipped to me. The Target uniform? It's a red shirt and khaki pants. I'm looking in home decor, and this deranged lady comes up to me and goes, "Where's your blue cheese?" I'm not sure. I don't work here. Sorry. I just saw you putting things on the shelf. I was putting back candles on the shelf I didn't want. "Show me where the cheeses are." "I'm just another customer, ma'am. I can't help you." In reality, I knew where the cheeses were because I go to Target every day. But that wasn't my problem. "Where's your manager? I'm gonna report you." "I'm sure the manager wouldn't give a rat's butt if you reported me." "Give me your manager now." I just start walking away at this point, and she follows me and grabs my arm and tells me I can't walk away from her. An actual employee, possibly the assistant manager, sees this and steps in between me and the psychopath. This before I even had time to react about being touched. She ended up being escorted out, this being without her blue cheese. It was seemingly uneventful, but that brought me a lot of joy. I had quite an amusing I don't work here lady encounter over the past winter break. Keep in mind at this point, I've been binge reading this sub for several months, so it almost felt surreal that I had this opportunity. To set the stage, I was working as a holiday helper for UPS. As a holiday helper, they had us wear cheap brown vests with a small logo on them. You would think that'd be enough, but apparently not. Now, although we mainly drop off packages at people's homes, we also went through a shopping plaza to drop off stuff at different stores. We were dropping off at Kroger when this happened. The way it worked was I would take a cart loaded with packages, go into Kroger along with a DIAD, which was basically a scanner we used to log in packages and mark off deliveries. I usually did this delivery alone, because it was simple and my driver could use the time to organize other stuff. So off I go into the store with a decent amount of packages stacked on my trolley. This is when I roll them over to customer service. Usually there's someone behind the desk when I come in, but sometimes the employee is out on the floor helping someone, like they were today. Standard practice is for me to unload all the boxes behind the counter and then wait until an employee comes back, that way they can sign off on them. So I unload all the boxes, stack them behind the counter, and then I lean up against it and wait. While I'm waiting, I casually take out my phone and begin to browse Reddit. Then I hear it. I'll look up to see some 50-something-year-old lady scowling at me with a cart packed to the brim with food. She had her gray blonde hair done in a I want to speak to your manager style and was wearing a bright pink Nike top, blue leggings, and 2 metric tons of attitude. We stared at each other for a moment, and her expression soured with each passing moment, much like the milk that was undoubtedly curdling in her cart. Finally, she broke the awkward silence.
Well?
I shrugged.
Well, what?
She shoved her cart forward, almost bumped me with it.
Are you gonna ignore me, or are you gonna check me out?
I looked at her and then down at my uniform, which consisted of a gray hoodie, black sweatpants, and my trademark brown vest. Kroger employees, they wore black khakis and a blue collared shirt, and definitely no brown vest. I looked back at her, trying to remain polite, and then recited this sub's anthem.
I don't work here, lady. I'm just dropping off packages.
The sour woman scoffed, and she jabbed her finger at my DIAD.
Bullcrap! You're just too lazy to help me. Start scanning these.
She shoved the cart at me again, and this time she bumped my thigh.
Or I'll get the manager.
I'm not sure why she didn't go to a standard checkout line either, but I guess if things got really busy, Kroger allowed customers to go through the customer service desk too. It really wasn't that busy, so I don't know why she did it. Now, I could have taken the easy way out, told her politely to screw off, and then left. But then she took her phone and called, and she snapped her fingers at me, mouthing,
Come on, I have to be somewhere.
So I decided to help her out and began to unload her groceries, one by one, in the most tedious manner possible. I scanned each fruit, can, veggie, and box with my DIAD, which is normally used to record people's addresses. Funny enough, it didn't know where the kiwi or the rotisserie chicken lived. But it does make that satisfying little beep when it rejects the address, which sounded quite similar to the product being scanned. I kept doing this for about 10 minutes, often mis-scanning something or inspecting it much to the woman's annoyance. From time to time, I interrupted her phone call just to ask her ridiculous questions such as,
Would you like to add another grape to this bunch? There's one with a brown spot on it.
She would usually answer with a huffy,
What?
Staring into space while she slowly worked through the question. Then she would shake her head sharply as she went back to her conversation. She finally reached her breaking point when I inquired whether she wanted her eggs bagged individually or together.
What? Why would you... What?
She demanded shrilly. I stood there, DIAD in hand, egg crate in the other, looking completely innocent while trying not to die from laughter. I could swear that I heard her mind briefly shutting down, especially at the stupid questions, before rebooting. Calmly and with a polite smile, I repeated the question. Her face was almost as purple as the grapes, and to my last question, she finally responded.
What kind of dumb butt question is that?
She croaked, her manicured nails digging into her palms. I placed the eggs back in the bag while nodding sympathetically.
The kind that I ask someone who's too stupid to take the hint that I don't work here.
By this point, the Kroger employee working the customer service desk returned, and the lady turned to them with the fury of God.
How can you let an employee treat me this way? I shop here all the time. How dare you treat a valued customer like crap?
To their credit, the customer service worker took the verbal abuse very well, holding their hands up in a "holy crap" gesture as they tried to calm the lady down. Then they looked from her to me, and then back to her and simply reiterated what I just said.
Ma'am, he doesn't work here.
I was fascinated to see the doubling down when you're wrong mentality in action. But to my surprise, all the wrath lurched out of this harpy in 2 flat seconds. It was the look of someone who realized the only way to save face in this situation was to simply drop it. She pursed her lips at the employee's words and looked at my brown vest, as if thinking I was somehow defying her logic.
Well,
she said coldly,
you just lost a customer.
Then as quick as she arrived, the witch turned on her heel with a flip of her great attitude due and stormed off. I was tempted to say that was more of a win, but I figured I'd antagonized her enough. Holding out my DIAD for a signature, I asked if the employee had ever encountered her before. He said he had, but she was never that angry. She was usually just demanding and arrogant to anyone else when she shopped there. After getting his signature, I helped him repack everything, and I asked him if he needed any help to take it back. But he said no. It was worth it though, to get another tumorous customer out of the store. This story is kinda different, in the way that I, the employee, witnessed an autistic young man, maybe 14 years old, get caught up in a crazy "I don't work here lady" situation. Let me set the scene for you. I, working as a door greeter, watching out for lost customers, and folks with returns, working in the lawn and garden section. I see this autistic young man, I guess he was autistic, as he seems predominantly focused on his actions, and kinda has the actions of an autistic individual. This young man is sorting and moving flower pots around. He's putting them in a specific order, matching colors, size of pots, heights of flowers themselves, doing an amazing job at it too, I might add. He is bothering none, and most folks are just noticing him doing a bang-up job. But this one old crone of a woman sees him working. She stands behind this young man, arms folded and tapping her foot. At first I thought maybe he was her son, or something like that. But the next thing she did proved me wrong. She clears her throat, in the dreaded fashion we all know as,
Excuse me, you need to help me.
The young man pays her no mind, continuing with this task. She doesn't like this. She clears her voice and replies louder.
You are not listening to me. You are going to help me now.
Before I could walk to her and ask her what she needs, she reaches out and grabs the young man by the right arm, just above the elbow. I guess the sudden action of this, and the young man's condition, caused him to spin around, and he jerked his arm away from this lady. That sudden movement startled the old woman, causing her to step backwards and lose her balance, which in turn knocked her on her butt. It was like in slow motion watching her go from standing to sitting on the ground. By the time I reached the young man to see if he was okay, his mother showed up and asked what happened. Before I could say anything, the woman who had caused this got up and was berating this young man, saying he attacked her and that she will have him fired and arrested. Meanwhile, this young man is almost crying, and his mother was shocked. I told the mom to take her son and calm him down, that he had done nothing wrong, and just make sure he was okay. Crazy old lady didn't like that. She began to lie and tell me that she was a victim, and that she didn't do anything, that the employee, or young man, attacked her. I told her not too kindly that 1, she was a liar, and 2, that I witnessed the whole incident, and 3, that the young man was forcibly grabbed, and that he doesn't work here and she assaulted him. By now a crowd had gathered, and the crazy lady had noticed that none of us was believing her side of the story. She just put her head down and walked quickly out of the store. When I turned to check on the young man and his mother, she was smiling at me and was thanking me for my help. She shops here regularly, and the young man likes to arrange flowers. It's calming to him. I expressed my regrets about the whole incident. The young man walks over to me and pats me on the shoulder. Then he goes back to the flowers. The mom informed me that that was the equivalent of a high five from him. Thank you very much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed those stories. If you did, please hit that thumbs up button and subscribe for more if you're not already. I want to give a special thanks to my Patreons. It is highly appreciated, and also all of you who are willing to support me by watching the channel. I hope to continue to be able to help lighten y'all's day. Thank you very much, and I'll see you again next time.